So today was the battle of the North American teams at Worlds for the final spot in the top 8 knockout stage, and FlyQuest won in a 2-1 rather convincingly, even though it was full 3 games. Game 1 was a really clean win and Game 3 was an absolute stomp, so I think it's pretty clear throughout the tournament that FlyQuest proved they were the better team, and Team Liquid quite frankly struggled the entire tournament. I think the only reason they got to 2 wins in the Swiss stage at all was because they got very lucky draws. They were able to beat GAM and one other weaker team, I think. And so FlyQuest played tougher opponents, performed better, took HLE to 3 games very close. They honestly could have beaten and should have beaten HLE. So I think that FlyQuest proved today that they do deserve to be in the top 8 at Worlds out of the 2 North American teams. And out of all of the Western teams, FlyQuest was the only one to move on to the top 8. So very, very impressive. And I want to take a look at this Game 1 draft here because I believe this draft here from FlyQuest was the best draft of Worlds so far. So let's jump in. They first picked Skarner, which is, really solid on blue side at this point. Astoundingly, Yone was not B1'd. He was not banned at all either. So I'm not entirely sure what FlyQuest was thinking here. Maybe they just forgot it, or they're okay playing into it. Yone has obviously been really dominant this Worlds and is super broken right now. So I'm really surprised they didn't B1 that. But what's even more surprising is that Team Liquid didn't rotate it on first rotation. They didn't pick Yone. Instead, they go with Xin Zhao and Jax. So this is really interesting because I don't even think Xin Zhao wins against Skarner in the 1v1. He doesn't outscale, and Skarner's tanky enough early with stacking ruby crystals and health to where Xin can't really get value out of his early game skirmishing ability. And then Jax blind pick again on red side. I'm kind of curious why teams are doing this, blind picking solo lanes on red side especially. Like I've said in the past, if you could draft correctly on red side, you can counter pick several positions effectively, and I usually like to save top lane for our R5 counter on red side. So very interesting stuff from Team Liquid. Definitely not a fan of that first rotation. But again, Yone is going unpicked on FlyQuest's second rotation. They go and take Orianna and Ashe. Definitely not a weak rotation by any means. Orianna will struggle in the lane against Yone a little bit, especially post 6. But once we get into the team fight stage, Orianna can, naturally have that really high team fight potential. And Ashe as well is obviously just a really strong champion. I think she's the best ADC in the game currently available. So I think that through the first phase, the number one surprise here is that Yone was not banned and not picked at all through first phase. It's not even a bait pick because he doesn't really have any bad matchups, and he's just that broken, so I'm really curious as to why neither of these teams picked him. But through the first phase, I definitely give the advantage to FlyQuest. They have the makings of a really basic, really solid front-to-back teamfight comp. They have great scaling here. They have great front line, great CC, great teamfight, great utility. It's just very well-rounded, and these champions are just very, very strong individually, and they work together very well. Compare that to Team Liquid, they have pretty good scaling in the solo lanes, but Xin Zhao just doesn't really fit here. He wants to play toward more early and mid-game skirmishing ability and play around that mid-jungle 2v2. So Team Liquid go ahead and R4 Jhin. I'm very confused still by the priority on this champion. Maybe ADCs are just comfortable on it at this point, so they just keep picking it. But the fact of the matter is, the way he's built, he doesn't really do that much damage, especially compared to other ADCs. If pro ADCs were to stack AD on this champion with things like Infinity Edge and LDR and Bloodthirster, he's a viable choice. He's still not great, but he's a viable choice and scales very well. But the way he's built with Shiv into Rapid Fire just isn't great, and it means that Ashe is just going to perma outvalue him in every single way. But FlyQuest have a really exciting round out here. Obviously the K'Sante is really basic. I think it still fits though because, top lane, front line, buying space for your back line with Ashe and Orianna. It's the makings of a, pretty basic front to back team fight. But what I love here is that they round out with Lulu. Ashe Lulu for one is a really strong lane combo with double range. Lulu also scales incredibly well, and this is the whole idea of what a support is supposed to be. A support is supposed to provide support to your ADC, and Lulu does that really, really well, especially paired with Ashe. The shields and her ultimate is going to be buffing up the Ashe very, very nicely, and obviously Lulu is just kind of a broken champion. I also really like it because they already have double frontline and top jungle, so they don't need another engaged tank in the support role, so they really identified their need in the support role really well this game. And then Team Liquid go an R5 counter with Lulu. This doesn't make any sense because FlyQuest isn't a dive comp and doesn't have any makings of that. So the Jhin and the Syndra don't really need that type of protection and peel. Also, the Jhin and the Tahm Kench just don't really mesh well on the lane together compared to the double range of Ashe Lulu. So overall, this was a huge draft win for FlyQuest. I'm actually really ecstatic that someone finally picked an enchanter and it worked, because this class of champions has largely been ignored for a long time, even though it's so broken. So really great draft from FlyQuest. It's no wonder they won this game quite convincingly. Team Liquid's just kind of all over the place, not really sure what they're doing, and it's going to make the game really hard to play out in terms of communication and individual champion play styles. Whereas FlyQuest is all on the same page, they have a clear goal inside of the game, scale and teamfight. It's pretty simple. So congratulations to FlyQuest on making top 8 at Worlds. Very impressive performance at the tournament so far, and even though they got Gen G in the draw, hopefully they can make it competitive at the least. Thanks for watching, see you next time.